So we are going to look at a question on interest rates, and we are going to look at a question called the Armstrong group. So the reason we are doing so is to basically have some kind of complete analysis when it comes to looking at the interest rate and also foreign exchange risk, so that we know how to deal with any of those numbers when they show up. And as I said yesterday, it may take you maybe some practice with more questions to get familiar with what has to be done in different circumstances. But at least when you have looked at some of these questions, at least you have a way to start understanding. So this question, one, it says to calculate the intergroup transfers which are forecast to occur for the next period. I shall see what that means. And then it says that based on the choice of options on futures or callers, which Massey is considering, and assuming the company does not face any basis risk, recommend a hedging strategy for the 25 million new seat. Support your recommendations with appropriate comments and relevant calculations. So now, having looked at that, then we can basically go and look at how we are going to deal with this. So if you look at the Armstrong group, they're saying it's a multinational group of companies. And this company, they're saying that today is September 1st, and treasury manager at Massey, one of the group subsidiaries based in Europe, has just received notification from the group's head office that it intends to introduce a system of netting to settle balances owed within the group every 6 months. So, key term here to note is netting. So when you have looked at the different ways that we can use for hedging transactions, there is what we call netting, whereby you look at how much you have to pay in foreign currency vis-a-vis how much you have to receive in foreign currency, and then you basically see what's the net that has to be paid or received, and then that can help you to determine how you can hedge that. So what you are trying to avoid is hedging all the payments and then hedging all the receipts. So because as we know, every time you hedge, the risk that you are hedging, you need to maybe incur some either premium if it's an option, or forego upsides in case you are looking at foreign exchange or interest rate option, futures, or even forward rates. Also, there is basis risk that we saw yesterday. So ideally, you don't want to hedge every single amount that you are receiving or paying if you can avoid it. So what you can do in that case is to see if you can net. So here we shall be netting to settle the balances owed every 6 months. And then the previous intergroup indebtedness was settled between the two companies concerned. Now, given that this is a multinational company, it has different entities in there that may be paying each other or owing each other currencies in different denominations. So before, each person would deal with their payables and receivables, but here they are trying to do what we call group netting, whereby they look at the whole entity and then the payables and receivables that you have there to come up with what should be paid or what should be received after you look at the different scenarios that are involved. So here is what we have. We have Armstrong, Howland, Giffen, Massey, and then they are, of course, owing to each other the different amounts. And they are telling you the currencies in which they are owing those amounts. So the predicted exchange rates are given to us. So you have rates, these are normally called cross rates. So you have a rate for every transaction. So converting from Denmark currency to the US dollar, then to the rands, and so on and so forth. So shall see how we use that. Settlement will be made in dollars, currency of Armstrong Group. So after I do the netting, whatever has to be paid will be paid in dollars. And it will be made in order that the company owing the largest net amount in dollars will first settle with the company owed the smallest net amount in dollars. So now, here this is the Danish krone. They are just telling you what these are: the rands, the dollar, and the euro. So we can actually go and calculate the intragroup transfers which are forecast to occur the next period using that information. So how do you deal with this? What you do, because remember they're saying that we're settling in dollars, so what you do is to first of all have the dollar amount for every transaction. So here we have the Armstrong Group. So what we do is to get the owed by. So we need to get the owed by. So these are the ones. I'm just going to try to see if I can import them. Yeah. So they are owed by the Armstrong Group, and they are owed to these are the entities, and this is the local currency. And it's in millions. So what we do is to first get the amount in dollars. So the dollar amount. And I think even the dollar amount, we can work in millions. So of course, if these are dollars, that is going to be the same 12.17. So now how to convert from rands to dollars? So they gave us the rates. So now remember, we want to convert to dollars. So we would like to have a conversion that can help us just multiply. So you can actually come and look for one which can help you do that. Because we have the rand. As you can see, the rand to dollar, we have this figure here. And then we also have this figure of dollar to rand. And usually these are inverse of each other. So you can use any of those two. But what you have to know is that what we want to get 42.65 million rands to dollars. So we either divide by 10.7 or we multiply by 0.09. Okay, so you can choose whichever you want. So I'm going to go with this. So I'll have 42.65 multiplied by, or divide by 10.7. Which gives me 3.97 million. Then I also do the same thing with the given. And you can see that here, given we need to convert using the Denmark currency, which was the Danish krone. So again, we have a 0.18, but then we also have the 5.48. You can either multiply or divide by this end of those two. So you just have to determine whether you're going to have to multiply or divide. So if we are looking at 21.29, we can either multiply it by 0.18 or you can divide it by 5.48. So whichever you choose. So let me just take the division again. Is equal to 21.29 divided by 5.48, which gives you 3.88. Then now I go to Mercy. So Mercy, I have 19.78. That one stays 19.78 because it's $1 million. So those are the people who are owed by, but in actual sense, even these guys, you can see that we have done the first part, but also if you now on this page, you can see that Mercy, Giffen, and the Horan are also owed too. Oh, they are also owed by. Because remember, if Armstrong owes Horan owes Mercy, Giffen owns Armstrong, Mercy owes Armstrong. So Armstrong also can be part of the people that are owed by as well as owed to. So you can think of it that you can have a transaction where Armstrong is owed by Mercy and so on. So let's include these lines here as well, the ones that are at the bottom, so that we can also get their conversion. So this is 1.57 million euros, and we want to convert it to dollars. So you again can use the rate either dollar to euro or euro to dollar. So you just have to determine what you have to do, multiply or divide. So now to convert from euros to dollars, we can use 1.35. In that case, we shall multiply. Or when you have dollars to euros, we can use 0.7, which in case you are going to divide. So I can divide again. Gives me 2.133. Then we already know how to convert this. So we just have to divide. So I'll just copy this and convert this one to 16.35. And finally, this one again, we shall have to change this one to 1.55. Okay, so that gives me my figures. So I do have my figures in $1 million. Now, remember they told us that settlement will be made in dollars. We have handled that. The currency of Armstrong Group, but it will be also made in order that the company owing the largest net amount in dollars will first settle with the company owed the smallest net amount in dollars. So we need to know the company owing the largest amount in dollars, and then we shall look at the company which is owed the smallest net amount in dollars. So which company is owing the largest net amount in dollars. So what's the amount in dollars here, which is the largest? Is 19.78. And then the smallest is 2.11. So which means that we have Giffen and Giffen and Massey. So Giffen is owing 2.98. Okay. So 2.98 Giffen. So, and it's owing it to Horan. So the idea that one should clear it out, no problem. Then does Giffen owe anyone else? No. Oh yeah, there is also Armstrong. So there is also Giffen and Armstrong. Armstrong, that is 3.88. Then you can also have, so Armstrong is owing Horan and also owing Massey. So ideally you have different companies owing each other. So what you do, you set up a way of knowing how much money somebody is owing in total, and then how you distribute it. So ideally what you are saying is that, okay, this company owes 19.78, which is Massey. Okay, so for that, let them first pay that amount. So you keep on reducing and reducing, and then you end up with whatever is left, then you exchange it. So this is how it will work. So you would have Giffen. So you have Giffen, then you have Armstrong, then you have Horan, and then you also have Massey. So these are the four companies that you have here. Then you can have them on sort of like you create what we call a matrix that shows how much is owing and how much is owed. So on this side, we want to see this is owed to. So owed to these companies. So Giffen and the others, and these are the companies that are owed by. So now Giffen, as we said, is owed to. So where is Giffen in here? 2.98 by Horan. So here 2.98. So we can actually just pick it from here by Horan. So that's the only one here. So Giffen is done. Then if we look at Armstrong appears twice. 3.88 by Giffen and 19.78 by Massey. So Giffen 3.88 and Massey 19.78. Then Horan appears once. So Horan appears once, owed 12.17. That is by Armstrong. Then Massey appears 3 times. So Massey appears 3 times. The first one owed by Horan, 3.97. Then the next one is Armstrong, 2.13. We had tried to just pick them here because we are trying to make the such that when something changes, we are okay. So this is 2.17. Armstrong Horan 12.17. This is 3.97. So Massey appears 3.97, then appears again on Armstrong 2.13, and then again Giffen 2.11. First, it appears Oran Armstrong 12.17. Oh, we are on Massey, sorry.
The 3.9 is in cell E.
Yeah, it's in cell E because we are looking at Horan here. So this one here by Massey, let's see, 2.17 on Armstrong. Massey and Giffen. So we have Massey. So Massey appears here on Horan 3.97. Massey appears here on Armstrong 2.13. And Massey appears here 3.9 on Giffen 2.11. Okay. So ideally they should add up to the entire figure, which is 47.03. So yeah, so that is okay. So that's the whole amount. Now, so now knowing that Giffen is owing how much, so we are adding everything. So about 5.98 for Giffen, then Armstrong 14, Oran 6.96, and finally Massey 19.78. So that is what is owing. Then the total of what is owed to, again, that one you can add it up. So 2.98 until you go to the final one. So this is how everything is. So what the statement here was meaning is that the one owing the largest net amount will first settle with the company owed the smallest net amount. So you start with the smallest, then you go on until when yours is cleared, then another person goes on like that. So what the matrix is trying to tell you is that Denmark is owed 5.99. Okay? But the company here, we need to see the company which has the highest amount owing, and that is Massey. So Massey, with the highest amount owing, will start to settle. Okay? So it will start to settle. And how does it settle? It settles with the company with the lowest amount owed. So Horan will have to clear, because the one with the lowest amount owed, if you check on this side, because we have 2.98, we have 23, we have 12 and 8. So now, which one has the lowest? Because ideally we are looking at Massey owing 19.7, having to clear one of those companies. So it will first pay. So of the 19.7, because how much does it have to pay Horan? Does it have any debt with Horan and the Massey? No, it has with Armstrong. But remember, we are doing group clearing. So it will start by clearing. So out of this 19.7, it will first pay off one of these entities with the lowest amount owing, which is if you start with given, no, not given. You start with, yeah, it turns out to be given because this is 2.98, this is 23, this is 12, and this is 8. So it can start by paying out given. Oh, sorry, it's not given. The total amount here is 2.98, but it's coming from Horan. Sorry. So shall say Mercy pays Horan. Okay. So if Mercy is paying Horan, so we shall come and remove here 2.98. Okay, from that side.
Hello, Herbert.
Yes.
Just to confirm, is Mercy paying Horan or Giffen? Because I thought Giffen is owed to.
Given is owed to 2.98. So Mercy is the one which is owing. So Mercy is going to be paying Horan. You get the figures that are down here. The figures that are down here. Here, the 5.99, 14.3, and 19.7 are the amounts the amounts of debt that these companies have. Giffen has a debt of 5.99. Armstrong 14.3, Horan 6.96, and Mercy 19.78. So now Mercy will have to pay Horan because it's the one with the lowest amount. Because the amount, they said the one with the highest amount owing pays the lowest amount owed to. So Mercy will start by paying Horan. Okay, and it will pay the amount which is owing, which is 2.98. So Giffen is owing 5.99. So what it means is that the amount which is paid in this case, because remember Mercy is owing 19.87, but itself it's owed 8.21. So this is amount owing, this is amount owed. So you think of it this way: when I have your money, but then you also have my money. So it doesn't make sense for me to first pay you all the money so that you can now pay back the money. What we do, we say, okay, how much are you demanding me? This much. How much am I demanding you? This much. Then we say, okay, because I'm demanding you more, give me the balance. So you have to look at it that way. So Giffen is owing 5.99, but it is owed 2.98. Okay, so you can choose to have this positive and what is owed negative, so that you basically indicate that what is owing is a debt, and what is owed is the like income that will come. So that means that 2.98 is owing here. Then for Armstrong, it is 23.6. Then for Horan, it is 12.17. And then for Mercy, it is 8.22. So it means this one is owed 5.99, but is owing 2.98. So this one will have to receive some extra. So how much extra will it be? So you can actually find what's the net amount. So it means that Giffen is owed 3.01, Armstrong is owing 9.36. Oh, no, Giffen is owing 3.01, Armstrong is owed 9.36, Horan is owed 5.21, and then Mercy is owing 11.56. So Mercy so in that case, it means that Mercy is still with the one with the highest debt. So it will first pay Horan. So Mercy pays Horan 5.21. So that means that here on this date, 5.21 would be paid. So that means this one is cleared out. Then how much is left here? So we can actually just create another amount here to track what is left. We want it to be 0. So it is still 6. So you can see that here, Horan is now okay. Because now his balance is at 0, but there is still 6.35 left. So we go to the next person, which is who's owed, which is Giffen. So Giffen is owed. No, not yet, not Giffen yet. We have to go to Armstrong. So Armstrong, we can come here and put. So remember here we have to 6.35. So we can pay 6.35. And we can just, so this is, if this is 5.21, we are going to add also 6.35. 6.35. So that is 0. Okay, so here we remove the 6.35. So this one is now 3.01. So now you see this 3.01 is how much I have, but this one is only 3.01. So I come and actually put here 3.01. And then I come and just add this. So everything is balancing here, 0, 0, 0. Oh, this one is supposed to be plus, not minus. So you see now, so you have to write it out because now I've done the math here, but how do you write it out? So Mercy pays Horan. How much was it paid? We can, that is that was 5.21, $21 million. Okay, and remember that also Mercy paid this other one 6.35. So Mercy pays Armstrong how much was it? 6.35. 6.35 million. Okay, so that mass now was cleared out. Then when we went to Armstrong, so Armstrong, remember after we finished with the Armstrong, after he had received 6.35, he was still waiting with 3.01, which is Giffen, what Giffen paid him. So Giffen pays Armstrong 3.01 million. So that is how the transaction would go. Is it clear? So ideally what we are doing is to find out how much each one is owing and how much each one is owed. Then we see the net. Then we find out the highest, the one who's owing the highest pays this, starts by paying the smallest debt, clears out, pays another person like that until when everybody has received or paid and they are at 0. Is it clear? Is it understood?
Yes, but are there situations where there's a balance?
Okay, now the way
Where
this question, in this case, it is set up, you have you have each one owing the other. So the rates that are being given to us are supposed to clear it out. But in case there is a balance, now it becomes a problem, because if each one is owing the other, but there is a balance left, then who is going to be paying that? So in this kind of question, it is already said that the amount should clear out. Okay. But if there is an external party that is not a part of the group, like maybe a bank, you could find that there is an amount which is left payable or receivable in terms of the bank. Then that's when you can look at that difference that you have, and then you can now use either the spot rate to convert it to an amount that you can pay, or you use, maybe you can even still go and get a forward contract on that. But most cases, there is not going to be a balance. The questions that are like this, I think the ones that are in the kit are like 2 or 3, but all of them end up like this without any balance remaining. Okay, so this is not the kind of interest rate risk that you wanted to see, but at least it's something that normally also comes. It's good that we have found it. So the question that comes next is basically similar to what we did yesterday. So, but rather than being a payment like yesterday, it's a receipt. So we are going to kind of do practice in a way, but there is a new aspect to it, because yesterday we looked at forward rates, futures, options, but there are also callers, and we are going to understand what callers mean using this question. So the most transaction that Massive is due to undertake with the company outside the Armstrong group. So now you can see how this is set. They have given you transactions that are within the group in the first part, because those ones can cancel out. But there is another transaction between Massey and an outside group entity. And that one is supposed to be in the next 6 months, they are going to receive 25 million euros. So, and they are receiving it from Bardsley on 30th November. The manager intends to invest this money for his 6 months until 31st May, when it will be used to fund some major capital expenditure. However, the general manager is concerned about changes in interest rates because the predictions can say that it can go from a 0.5 rise or a 0.54. So they don't know whether it can go up or down. So because of this uncertainty, the treasury manager has decided to protect Massey by using derivatives. So they want to use favorable interest rate movements to take advantage of the favorable interest rate movements. So when that is something that somebody wants to do, then you may not recommend them to use things like maybe forward rate agreements of even futures, because those transactions usually fix you a transaction fee or a foreign exchange rate that you're going to use. But if things turn out favorable, you don't benefit from that. Okay, you just have a rate you will use. It saves you from the downside, but the upside is also capped. So, but here they are considering options on interest rate futures or interest rate collars. Okay, so you see, these are the only two that may give you the upside in case things move well. So that's what they have given us. They're considering interest rate futures or interest rate collars, but not the interest rate futures. Okay, and I've told you why. Because those futures and also forward rate agreements or the forward agreements usually give you a cap to limit you from bad exposure. But if things are going well, they also stop you from benefiting from them. It's like agreeing to exchange at 3,600 because you thought it was going to actually go lower, but then you find that now it is at 3,900, but you can't use it because the 3,600 is a contract which you can't get out of. So And then they're saying that we can invest at basis rates minus 40 basis points, and the base rate is 3.6. This gives us the interest rate that we can actually use for investment. Now, this is what they have told us from the Euro futures and options. So we have 3 months Euro futures of 1 million euros contract. Then we have a tick size of 0.01 and a tick value of 25 pounds. So we have September, December, and March. So we have been given more than one. So we have to determine which one we use. And we shall use what we discussed yesterday. Remember yesterday we said that to determine which one you use, you should use one where the expiry is just after the transaction. So you need to know the dates. So we are looking at it in 6 months' time in May. So we can't use September. Okay, shall discuss that when we look at it. But remember, we are going to invest until 31st May. So options, again, we have the same. And they have told us, again, September, December, and March, so we shall have to choose. So the contracts at the end of the month, also basis diminishes to 0. These are assumptions that you can question to get some of these marks here for professionalism, especially skepticism in this case. So they're saying that based on the choice of options on futures or callers, and assuming the company does not face any basis risk, recommend a hedging strategy for 25 million receipt. And then you have to look at supporting your recommendation with calculations and comments. Okay, so now, with the interest rates, okay, so now with the interest rates, because yesterday we saw that with the foreign exchange, actually this part is somehow related to interest rates more than foreign exchange, but the concepts are similar, only that with interest rates, you have to ask yourself these questions. You have to ask yourself, are you investing or are you borrowing? Okay? Because the thing is, if you are investing, you are worried that interest rates will fall. Okay? Then if you are borrowing, you are worried that the interest rates will actually increase. Because if you are borrowing money, you don't want to be charged higher interest. But if you are investing, you have to receive higher interest. Now, because we are going to receive, okay, we are going to receive this money in the next 6 months, then we are going to receive it on 30th November and then invest it. So we are investing. So when we are investing, we are worried that interest rates actually will fall. So normally, in that case, for the options, we buy call options when we are worried about interest rates falling. And then if you are worried about them increasing, we buy put options. So that is how you choose whether to buy put options or call options. And as I said yesterday, you can use this also to determine the futures, how you're going to deal with the futures. If you are going to be dealing with futures, you would do actually buy now and sell later if you are investing, or you do sell now and buy later if you are borrowing. Same logic, why it takes you to that point of decision. Now, in this case, for us, we are on this first part. We are investing, so we are going to buy call options. Now, but which options are we buying? Because we have September, December, and March. Now, we are going to receive this money on November and invest it for 6 months until May. Okay? Until May. So, which means that the one that comes right after May, because you see May, June, July, August, September. September is the next one. So we shall have to buy September call options. So we shall buy September call options. Okay, after knowing that you need September call options, then you need to know you are going to calculate again the basis like we did yesterday. So the basis, remember the basis, we said it's the difference between the spot. Elvis, you can hear me? I'm seeing you are adding multiple devices. I don't know if it's because you are just failing to listen or it's okay.
My network had dropped.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
Yeah, I was switching to this one. It was on a PC, but then my network dropped.
Okay.
So I went to the one. Now I'm switching back.
Okay. So now, I hope you have heard the explanation I was giving here of investing and borrowing.
Maybe if you could help me, because I had dropped off.
Okay. So I said for the interest rates, you have to ask yourself two questions. Are you borrowing or are you investing? So, because when you are borrowing money from a bank, you don't want to be charged high interest. So your worry is that interest rates will increase if you're borrowing. But if you are, in this case, investing, your worry is that interest rates will fall and therefore you get less interest. So you always have to determine what's the situation for you for interest rates. And after you determine it, then you have to determine whether to buy call options or to buy put options. And we said that if you are investing and you're worried about the interest rates falling, then you buy call options. Because if they are going to, normally you hedge against the transaction that you are worried is going to happen. But if interest rates are going to fall, then it means that the price of because as we shall see, how they price these interest futures and the forwards and also options, they normally price them by saying 1 minus the interest rate. So if interest rates are going to fall, means that the price will actually rise. So you buy call options because the call options will help you to buy now and sell later when the price has risen and you get a profit. On the other hand, if you are borrowing, interest rates you are worried that they'll increase, so you buy put options, which means that you buy a right to sell when the interest rates have increased. So, okay. So we have also decided that we are going to buy a September option because our transaction, we are going to get our money on 30th November and we are going to invest it until 31st May. So the next available option available after March, because this is the March one will have passed, then June will have passed because we are in May. Okay, June will not have passed, but we don't have it. So here we have September, so we shall use the September option. So we shall buy September options. So what do you do to determine now the basis? We saw yesterday that the basis is given as the the difference between the spot and the future. In this case, we are going to look at the price of the option. So how do you get the price? I said we get 1 minus, or in this case, 100 minus, because you want to put it in terms of not percentage. So you get 100 minus the price. So how do you get the price, or the interest rate rather, that you are going to use for this? They are saying it is 3.6, the base rate. So 3.6, that gives us the price. Then you subtract the 95.94. So this one is like the spot. Then you subtract 95.94, which is the futures price. So that gives you the basis as 0.46. Okay. So then from here, we look at, let's first check the dates properly. So today, when we are standing now, because we are going to receive in the next 6 months, that is 30th November. So 30th November, then we shall invest that money until 31st May. So we shall have to buy we are going to invest on this date, 30th November. So we don't look at the 31st May, we look at 30th November, where we are going to invest. So the next one, which is next, is actually December. So we shall buy December options, not September options. Sorry. We look at the date when we start because that's when we are going to buy the option. So we go to look at the December one. So we subtract 95.76. So that gives us the basis. So now to get the unexpired basis, because if we are going to invest in November and we are buying the December options, how many months are left? Because the normal, if we are starting from when we get, so November, the same. So November is done. So December, January, February, March, April, May. So we need to determine the difference between what we have here, because if we are in November, we are left with 1 month to expire the basis. So, but where do we start from? That is where our point of starting point is, where we are now. So, depends what you choose to use. So, if you are using the spot, so you count from that spot date to when the December future expires. Then, or you can just decide to start from September to December, whereby you have September, October, November, December, which will be in that case 4 months. So if you are using that, then that also can give you a way of calculating the unexpired basis. So now, so which one do you take to use here? So as of September, so I'm trying to figure out, let me first see the date we are on. So if we are receiving on November in 6 months, so I'm trying to get the current date. If we are receiving on 30th November in 6 months, that means November is the, so that is, we are in,
That's like May, right?
yeah, May, July, August, September, October. Yeah, we are in May.
August.
We are in May. So May, June, July, August, September, October. No, we are in
Actually, first June.
1st June. Yeah, we are in June.
Yes.
So we are in June. So June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So if you are starting from June, because that's where this basis is computed from 3.6 to the December one. So there are 7 months between then and the December one. Okay. So there are 7 months. So when you get the unexpired basis, basically what you're going to do is to say this basis multiplied by, now remember we stop in November where our transaction is. So it means that we are going to reduce by 1 month. So what is unexpired is 1 month out of the 7 months that we have computed, which gives us 0.09. So now that's the unexpired basis. Now they told us to consider based on the choice of options of which has occurs, assume the company does not face any risk. It's recommend the strategy for the 25 million receipt. So what we are going to do is that we are going to say, okay, what's going to be the amount on the option and then also on the callers. So for the options, yesterday we saw that you can exercise the option if it's favorable or not. So we need to determine whether we should exercise or not. So there are 2 options there. They told us that the rates can either reduce or decrease by 0.5. So what about if the rates increase by 0.5%? Remember, it is at 3.6. So if you add 0.5, it becomes 4.1%. Now, it means, so what is the price? Futures price. So the futures price, as we said, is going to be 100 minus the interest rate, which is 4.1 in this case. But you have to also remove the unexpired basis. So that becomes 95.81. So then you can come and say, what is the exercise price of this option? Exercise price of this option was 95.76. I'm supposed to look at the options, not the futures. So it is, so now we are looking at the December one, and we are going to buy December call options. So they have different prices. We have this one, we have this one as the different premiums. So we have two lines. So we have to deal with both of them. So we have 96.5 and 97. So we are going to deal with both of them. So we have 96.5, and then we have 97. So that's the exercise price for both of them. Then what's the futures price? We have determined it already as 95.81. Now, how do you determine whether you should do exercise or not? So, this is a call option, right? It gives you the option to buy. And now, so if you can buy at 95.81 in the market, could you exercise the option to buy at 96.5? No. Okay, because the option is making you buy at a higher price than what you can buy in the market. So here I don't exercise. But here, if you can buy at 95.81 in the market, can you buy at 97? Again, no. Okay, so for this situation, you don't buy. So because you don't buy, there's no gain or loss. Okay, because you didn't exercise. So now, if you don't exercise, there's nothing going to be a problem. So what you do is to get to what is the interest that you're going to receive when you invest. Remember, we are investing for how many months after we receive the money? We are going to receive and invest it for 6 months. So what is the interest that you receive? So remember, we are investing 25 million euros for 6 months out of 12, and the interest rate, we are saying we can invest at the current rate minus 40 basis points, and the current rate in this case is 4.1%, and then remove 40 basis points, which is 0.04. Okay, so that gives us the amount which is invested, or the interest which is received. Or this is 0.4, not 0.4%, because it's 4 basis points. So this is what you have here. And you can also use it in this case. That's the interest which is received. Now, remember, there was no gain or loss, so we don't have to deal with that. But for options, we normally pay premium. And the premium is normally this amount here. So the premium is that amount which is here. So on the first line, the premium is 0.182. Then on this other one, it is 0.032. Okay, so now, but these amounts that are given to you here, the premium, are quoted in annual percentages. So the premium on this one, 96.5, we said it was 0.182. So you can write it as 18.2. Then you multiply this by the 25 million. Then you need to know how many contracts, because if each contract is 1 million, that means that you need how many to reach the contract size. So
25.
need 25. Yeah, but need 25. But there's something that I remember. Let me see. Something I remember about how to get the contract, the right contract, is that you actually get the contract amount, which is the 25 million, divided by the contract, which is the contract size, which is 1 million, multiply by how long you are going to be investing for, and then divide by 3. So that is in the pocket notes. You can, let me open the pocket notes and you see. And I'm going to explain to you why it is that way. Let me first open the pocket notes. Okay, this is this is how you calculate the contracts in the interest rate situation. Okay, you get the loan deposit, whatever you are, either is a loan or a deposit. So it could be investing or borrowing, doesn't matter. Divide by the contract size, multiply by the period when you are either borrowing or investing, divide by 3. Because as we saw, each of those contracts is usually 3 months: March, June, September, December. So that's what gives you the contract sizes. So if you do that for our situation, let me first put here one side that doesn't go off. If you do that for our situation, if you have 25 million, divide by 1 million, multiply by 6 out of 3, you actually get 50 contracts. 50 contracts. So here you are multiplying by 50. So which gives us 227. You could have worked you could have worked this one out in millions.
I think one of those figures should be a percentage in the formula.
18.2.
18.2, right?
Yes. Yes, 18.2, 227 million. Then on the other hand, this other one here is 3.2. 3.2% multiplied by the 25 million, then multiplied by the 50 contracts, which gives us the 40. Now, this is the interest we are receiving, but this is actually a payment of premium. So from here, there is something we are forgetting. These are basis points. Normally we don't divide by 100. This 18.2. When you are dividing, you divide by 10,000. So these figures here that are quoted, they are quoted in annual percentage. So this is 0.182%, not 18.2. You get? So this one should be 0.182%. Then here this should be 0. 0.032%. Okay, so this is how that should be. This one, is it 25 million? So from here, you can now get the net. So you are receiving this, but you are incurring this. But I think this figure is big. Let me first see why it is very big. 0.182. Let me just count this zeros. This is 25 million. Okay, figure is very big, but we shall go with it. So you end up with the net receipt. But these figures are big. There's something that I think I've not done. Okay, yes, I've forgotten to use the tick size and the tick value. Now, the tick size and the tick value are given to you. You can see here what they mean. So, to get the total profit, whenever you are dealing with this, you have the contracts, but then you have the tick size and tick value. What the end result is that you have to divide this by 100 to cater for this information here of the tick size and the tick value, because the tick size is 0.01%, the tick value is 25. It means that every 0.01% you move by 25 pounds. I'm going to send you a better write-up on that, or you can check the textbook. But the end result is that you end up dividing by 100 this figure. So you just put a star on this one, you'll get a write-up on how that tick size and tick value ends up making it the division. So this is now becomes your net receipt in terms of interest amount. Now, when you have this net receipt, you need to know what is the equivalent annual interest. So you can call it equivalent annual interest. Now, ideally, you should just say this amount divided by maybe 2 million. I mean the 25 million. So divide by the 25 million. That should be okay. But although that would have been okay, this is an investment you are doing for 6 months and you want to convert into an annual interest. So what you do, you multiply it by 12 divided by 6. So that becomes the equivalent annual interest. So, which is about 3.5 and 3.6 respectively. So this is the first one, when it increases. Now the beauty with this question is that after you do that, you can just copy now all of this, and you now do if it decreases. So if it decreases by 0.4, and if you are at 3.6, that means that you are going to 3.1%. So it means that here you'd have 100 minus 3.1 minus the expected, minus the unexpired basis, which in this case is still 0.09. So the exercise price will stay the same, but the futures price will be different. Now again, you decide if you can exercise at if you can buy at 96.5, and then you can in the market is 96.8, you exercise this one, right? Because you are basically buying at a less price with your option. And then here, if you could buy at 97 using the option, but you could buy at 96 in the market, you don't exercise. So if you don't exercise, there is no gain or loss. But if you exercise, then there is going to be a gain or a loss. So it means that in this first case, what's the gain or loss? Basically, the difference between these two. If you exercise, you gain 0.31. So usually that is in basis points. So you find that some people will convert it into dollars before they display it. So how do you do that? We shall see. But basically, we can now go and talk about the interest. So the interest will still be the same. The only difference is that here you have 3.1, and here also 3.1. Now, there is going to be a premium. That's okay. But then there's going to be a gain on the option. So it is here. So here you have the 0.31 multiplied by the contracts, which are 25 multiplied by the tick size, which is $25, or the tick value, multiplied by the contracts, which are 50. So you get yourself 386. But this is remember, this was 100 minus 96, so this is a percentage. So to convert it, you would have to multiply by 100. So I have to multiply it by 100. Oh, is it the one? No, it's this one here. So that is the gain. Then the premium is still here. So the premium should not have changed because we are still dealing with the same options. But at the end of the day, the net amount, so let's make sure it's adding everything: the interest received, the gain, and the premium. So you end up with that, which brings you at 2.8 and 2.67 respectively. So if the rates were to decrease, you actually get you get less interest than if the rates were to increase, which we already know. The only thing is that this one helps you to actually choose to exercise or not. But if the upside is going to decrease, then you won't be getting a loss. But if the interest moves in your favor, then you can leave the option and you just go to the market and buy. Assuming the basis diminishes to 0, because the figures we are using them on that assumption. So you always have to put that in context. Now what we have left to do is to do the callers, and the callers may not have so much time to explain them to you now, but let me just explain what the caller is. So now, for the caller, you already know that we need to buy call options. But when you buy call options, you have to pay a premium. Now, in order to reduce on the premium that you should pay, you can also choose to sell a put option. Understand? So you buy a call option, but you sell a put option. What is going to be the result is that if you sell a put option, they will pay you premium. And then when you buy, you pay premium. So it will be like you are paying something, but they're also paying you something. And at the end of the day, you have sort of like a balance, a net whereby whatever you paid and whatever you received, you can offset the two, and you end up having less premium paid. So that's the essence of having a collar. So a collar looks sort of like this. You have this part up, then you have another part down like this. I don't know if you know this from engineering, but that's how a collar looks like. So what the end result is that it kind of fixes you in between two extremes, whereby it hedges you from negative downside, but it also puts a map on what you can actually get as the positive. So when it's an option, you can enjoy all the positives that come, but when it's a collar, then they put a cap on how much positive you can enjoy. But the reason why they would do a collar is to basically reduce on the premium which is payable. So it kind of makes it a little bit cheaper. Now, so I don't know if there is a lot of time for me to go through the computation. What I'm suggesting is to take you to, we got the solution and you see how they are dealing with it, and then you can get some time and look through it. And I think there is a question that I've already put up, mostly maybe this very question, which has done the question until the end there. So, but do you understand the concept of the collar before we look at the numbers?
Yes, I do. I understood.
Okay. So now let's go to the Armstrong group, the solution, so that we see how they are dealing with the collars. So when you use a collar, you still buy the call options that you chose, but then you have to sell. Okay. So when you go there, we had the call, we had the put and the call. So when you buy a call, then you sell a put. So because you are buying it at 0.032 and you're selling it at 0.123, you basically receive premium of 0.091 as the net. So once you do so, you basically set up the same option we saw for the options, for the different, for the buying the call and selling the put. Then you put the futures price, then you decide whether to exercise or not. Okay, then you have the interest, then you since you have exercised, so in this case, because you didn't exercise here, there is a loss that you have made, because for a caller you have bought and also sold, so there is some loss that has to be made unless you don't exercise this difference here. Then if they fall again, here, since you need to exercise for both, so there's no loss to be made, then you look at again the net receipt or payment. The setup is very similar to what we have just done. The difference is on the premium part. Okay, you just get the net. Remember, we said the net was 0.091. So that's what you see, 9.1 multiplied by the 25 multiplied by the tick. That gives you the premium. And the premium here is premium received because it is a net of the two. So that's the only difference that you get from the other side. And then, of course, you set them here for these different exercise prices and the callers. Then you choose the one which gives you the highest interest. So which in this case would be this one here. Okay, now 3.6%. So when you explain that on the numerical values, as you would choose to buy call options of the same but $97, the ones of 97 exercise price. However, the caller will mean that you are paying less premium. Okay, so you can look at those, but ideally you end up concluding that this is what you are going to use. Then you talk about what can go wrong. So basis risk and all those other things. So this is how they are showing you how they arrange this in the exam. So you can actually look at it and see whether you can arrange it better like that. So this is what they are saying. Option at 97 is better and is recommended. But the other one of 96.5 is also okay because there is not so much between to choose. The difference is not so much, but the caller is worse than other options. So because we can't take advantage of the increase, because I told you it caps you between the maximum and the minimum. So, but if the interest expected to fall, it is a little bit better. So if you are certain that they are going to fall, then you can use the caller. But if you are not certain they are going to fall, then you can use the 97 exercise price call option. So that's how that number was done for that second part. So what you do, you look at the whole number, like we said, when you calculate and you try to repeat the steps and see if you find yourself able to go through up to the end, minding the time and all that. So I don't know if there is any questions for now.
Oh no, I have none.
Okay, so we shall stop here. But as I told you, there are other questions that you can attempt in this part. You can actually first go and search. I told you about these three. You can search in the questions that we have on the platform, see if some of them are already answered. And then also part section B, there are so many, and some of them have already videos that you can find on the platform, and you can go through them, see whether you can be able to get the answers. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Okay.